Trippy. We are back. I know I've been gone for a pretty long time or a bit of a minute, but today I have a very interesting battle that I thought I'd go over. In this video, we're going to be going over Rias Gremory versus Kefla, or Kefla versus Rias Gremory. So I thought this would be, I thought these are both two very interesting characters that I thought I'd talk about and go into, and who I think would win in a fight. I think this is definitely a very interesting battle that obviously haven't seen anybody do, thought it'd be very interesting. And so yeah, so I'm going to go over Rias's feats first, like go over her scaling, her speed, and all of that, and the lore for her. And then I'll go over Kefla and her speed, scaling, and AP, and all of that. And then after I lay down the feats of for each character, I'll go into my thoughts of who I think wins, why I think so, and all of that. So yep, so we'll go into Rias Gremory first. So let's get into it. So as we know, and also for Rias, I'll be including the light novel and manga and anime for scaling for Rias. But so I hope I say his name right. But Azrael, I think that's what his name is, or Azul. But let's go with Azrael. So he's able to summon spears of light, which they should be able to move at the speed of light. They should be able to move at that speed. And then Issei says they move at, like Issei kind of implies that they're moving at light speed. Like he says Azrael was able to take them down in a flash. So Issei is implying that they do move at the speed of light. And then Rias in the manga says, so Rias in the manga is able to resist Gasper's time stop, whereas Gasper is able to stop time, and Rias is able to negate that. And Azrael talks about how Gasper stops time, and because like Zenobia and other people have to use holy weapons to resist it, whereas Azrael talks about if you have a higher, if your battle power is that high, you can just resist time like that. And then this is Rias talking about and going into how that Gasper was using a time stop, and this is her giving like more detail. And then Azrael talks about how Gasper couldn't freeze like them, and Rias is one of those people because like we see in the manga that she's able to resist this time stop due to her like raw power. And then this is Azrael going more in depth about Gasper and how he couldn't freeze them, implying like Rias is one of those people like I've been saying. And then in the light novel, it talks about how Gasper, like I said, can stop time, and how Rias can move and react to Gasper. And then this goes more in depth about how Gasper is able to stop time and stuff like that, and Rias is able to react, because Issei talks about how Rias, can you move, and Rias like is able to move. And then Issei talks about how that Zenobia was able to react to the time stop, like when Zenobia was able to react to time stopping, like when time was stopped, Zenobia was able to react to that and felt it in her body. And Issei is like talking about how Zenobia, this is like an incredible feat, and Rias would scale above Zenobia in raw power. And then Volley can fly at FTL speeds, like he's able to fly at FTL speeds, like I've been saying. And then Volley can half the dimension, so Volley can warp the dimension that they are in. And then Azrael states what I've been saying is consistent, as Azrael goes in depth and says like Volley is able to warp the dimensions that they are in. And then in the manga, like more like when the story keeps on going, Issei and this dragon, I forget his name, they fight a guy that can destroy dimensions with his blade. And then later in the video, I'll talk about how another guy that they reference that has to do with this feat as well. And then, so Rias, I think this is High School DxD season 3, I believe. Yes. So Rias gets angry to a point where, like, I think not one of the dogs, Fenrir, I hope I said that right. That Loki brings is able to hurt Issa, and then Rias gets angry to the point where Loki actually like acknowledges her power. Loki says, "Oh, okay, you are the daughter of you are the princess of the underworld." Like, okay, like Loki is actually acknowledging her power. And then in the light novel, Loki is able to fight Vali and Issei. So like Loki is actually a lot stronger than what is led to be on. Like they didn't get to show it in, like too much like in the anime, but Loki's a lot stronger than what is shown in the anime, because in the light novel, Issei and Vali have to work together to fight Loki, and then Fenrir has children that scale to him to a certain degree, like the dog Fenrir. If you guys know Norse mythology, you'll know Fenrir and all that. But he's able to hurt Vali and can affect him and stuff. And then Rias and Vali's team, Rias is able to fight and hold her own against like these dogs that can hurt Issei and Vali. So that means she would scale to the dogs, and she would scale to like Vali and Issei to a certain degree, not fully, but to a certain degree. And then here in the anime, like I said, going back to this guy has a blade that can cut a path through dimensions, and Rias is able to fight people on his level. So that means that Rias would scale to this guy to a certain degree, and scales above him when we go into this scaling. So Akano states that the dimensional gap is a space where the laws and physics no longer apply. Like in the dimensional gap that they're in, laws and physics no longer apply. Distance and direction no longer apply either. And she also says that both time and space are irrelevant in the dimensional gap. So this would mean if you're able to move in a dimensional gap, you should have immeasurable speed, maybe even a little bit faster than that, but you should have immeasurable speed. And Rias is, when we go into here now, and why Akano, why what she's saying is reliable is she's trained with Rias and is her apprentice, and has been her apprentice for a very long time. And when she states something about Rias' power, we should take it as truth and very valid. So Akano states that Rias has such destructive power, and she states Rias is not at full power when she goes into because Loki does something that awakens her inner power. Now all of the feats I'm saying for her now is that this is not enhanced by Loki at all. Now when she goes into her balance breaker form, when she fights Issei, that is Loki with his amp power. But Akano's actually talking about Rias with her just dormant full power. She actually went full power. But Akano states that Rias is not at full power, and if she was at full power, they would not be safe in the dimensional gap. So the dimensional gap is a space where laws and physics no longer apply. Distance and direction don't apply either, and both time and space are irrelevant. So this would mean the dimensional gap is 5D minimum. Okay, and according to Akano, who her statement is very valid, because she should know Rias' power from training with her and stuff. States that Rias, if she was at full power, she would destroy the dimensional gap. So this would mean Rias should be in those 5D ranges as of High School DxD, like the end of season 3, right? And then what's interesting is that Issei in season 4, so Issei gets two power-ups in season 4, which is very interesting. But so what's interesting is, Drake talks about how So in season 4, Drake is talking about how that um Issei powered up to a point that Drake is talking about how like this power is feeling nostalgic to him, and Drake, who is Issei's a dragon, right? Drake is like regaining his original aura, like his Drake is regaining his true power. That and Drake hasn't been able to like awaken that for a very long time. And Issei talks about how like Drake is like tapping into like his true power, and then Issei talks about how the power is overflowing. So this means like every power, everything I've said, all the feats that I've listed above, what Issei is feeling at this moment is way beyond like anything that we like felt up till this point. Because Issei talks about how like he can't comprehend this power, he can't comprehend Drake's true power, and it's overflowing, right? So Issei is acknowledging that when he was able to awaken Drake's true power, he couldn't comprehend it, right? And then like I said, Drake, this is his true power that we see in season 4 for Issei that he unlocks, right? So what's interesting is that, and then like here it says, like I was saying, Drake, I'll show you my full power. As Drake is implying like now Drake he's unlocked his true power, and he's about to show Issei his true overwhelming power that he hasn't been able to use for a long time. So what's interesting is that Rias scales to that to a certain degree, right? And what's interesting is that Cyborg, I think that's what his name is, because Cyborg's able to fight that Issei and combat him, and then Cyborg's like dog, or I mean not dog, but lion. There we go, lion is able to his lion is able to Rias is able to like stalemate it for a little bit, and then and for here I'll go into here. Then Issei goes beyond that in this fight with Cyborg when he absorbs the lion. That Rias was able to like hurt and stalemate it for a little bit. So Issei here goes beyond Drake's that he said was overwhelming. So Issei goes beyond Drake's true power and overwhelming power and unlocks this new form, like in his final fight with Cyborg in season 4. And then here, like I said, and then later in the light novels. Hold up. So before we get into this, Issei by the end of season 4 should be like in those 60 ranges, because he gets 2 power-ups that both of them he says are overwhelming and beyond, like he can't comprehend it. He can't understand it. And then in the light novel, they're talking about how Gasper, they talk about Gasper and his overwhelming power, and how Gasper's power like surpasses like their imagination and stuff like that. So it's more into stuff that more into stuff that Gasper is actually stronger than like what people think. And then here in the light novel, it talks about how Rias has like immense raw natural talent, whereas like her brother Sir Zex, who's the ruler of the underworld, has better control over his power than Rias, which is why, on top of having a higher battle power than her, he's able to control his demonic magic a lot better than her. But Rias is born with just raw natural talent, which is why she's born with a lot of raw power. And then what's interesting is, so Rias and Akeno are training, right? And so Rias. So by the way, so in the light novel, Bachu is Rias. By the way, that's what they call Rias in the light novel. If you guys are getting confused on Rias and like what feat is Rias in the light novel, Bachu is Rias. But so Rias is being rougher than usual with Akeno. So then Rias learns a new technique, which is like a gigantic spear that has like crimson and black aura, right? And Issei, right? So I just told you, right? Issei fought in dimensional gap 5D dimension. Um, he got 2 power-ups in season 4, which I would say he should be 6D by the end of season 4, because since he gets 2 power-ups that he can't comprehend, right? And then Issei talks about how all the people that he's fought up to this point, he states that Rias with this black spear is unimaginable amount of demonic power. So Issei is struggling to comprehend this crimson or black. He's struggling to comprehend the power of the spear. Meaning Issei is acknowledging that the spear can hurt him to a certain degree, or can affect him to a certain degree. Because Issei's fought a lot of strong people up to this point, and he states that this crimson and black spear has an unimaginable amount of demonic power. That's very interesting. And then Rias, like I said, is able to concentrate this demonic new power, and then she's able to harness it and strengthen her. And then also, for clarity, she goes and learns this demonic power because like she wasn't too much help in fighting Cyborg, even though she did do well against like his lion. She wanted to train to help Issei a little bit more, but so yeah, Rias then talks about how like this blade could be like forbidden in the raiding game. So the fact that she talks about how this crimson spear will definitely be forbidden in the raiding games is crazy. So yeah, that's insane in my opinion. But yeah, I think Rias should be in those because Issei called the spear unimaginable. I think Rias like should be 7D or complex multiversal level at AP and speed. She should be immeasurable speed due to the Gasper dimensional gap scaling, in my opinion. But so now let's go into Kefla's scaling. So let's go into how strong Kefla is, her feats, and all of that, and what she's done in Dragon Ball Super. What does like Kefla have to offer? So let's go into Kefla now. So God Goku and Beerus are able to clash and affect the macrocosm, which I believe this is a 5D feat because I believe the macrocosm is a lot bigger than what is led to believe, because our the Dragon Ball living universe can hosts and has dimensions that are higher dimension in our living universe. So yeah, it hosts a lot of stuff in the living universe that are actually a lot bigger and has higher dimensional stuff. And then the Dragon Ball Z universe is infinite in size, distance, like it's infinite. Like Dragon Ball Z universe is pretty infinite. Everybody pretty much agrees with that. And then Otherworld is a higher dimension than the macrocosm, the Otherworld is a higher dimension than should be a higher dimension than the macrocosm, or some dimensions in the macrocosm. So, and then what's interesting is the infinite Zamasu is able to transcend the whole macrocosm, right? And so the Otherworld should be 5D. That's what I was trying to say, but like I was trying to put my words together. But so the Universe 7's macrocosm should be 5D in my opinion, and Infinite Zamasu is able to transcend the whole macrocosm. So this would make Infinite Zamasu a 6D being, right? What's important is, for one, so the World of Void is a way higher dimension than Universe 7's macrocosm in all 12 universes, because the Grand Priest creates this realm, and it's supposed to be higher dimension, in my opinion, from all the stuff that I have read about the World of Void. And so the World of Void should be a lot higher dimension than Infinite Zamasu, who's a 6D being. And then what's important is that, and I've talked about this many times, but I guess this is when I'm bringing it on, like in a video format, but the Universe 7 Spirit Bomb is God of Destruction level. It should be God of Destruction level. The gods of the destruction are impressed by the bomb. They acknowledge it. they're impressed that a suppressed Jiren that's barely trying is able to blink it away. The Universe 7 Spirit Bomb is, in my opinion, supposed to be God of Destruction level, in my opinion. And then what's important is Super Saiyan Kefla rivals this Universe 7 Spirit Bomb, and then rivals the bomb according to Whis, who is very valid. But she does rival the bomb. And then why this is important is that, one, this is good scaling for Kefla, because this would mean Kefla should be like God of Destruction level, right? Because she rivals the bomb, in my opinion. And then Whis backs that up. And then, so hit and suppress Jiren, right? I already told you guys that Infinite Zamasu is a 60 being. The World of Void is higher dimension. And so hit and suppress Jiren are having this higher dimensional fight. Even though I know what it says, but like just listen to the feats that I've presented to you. That so I believe hit and suppress Jiren are having this 7D fight, and why this is important is Super Saiyan 2 Kefla should be stronger than hit, and that suppressed Jiren that was fighting hit. I'm not saying Kefla is like I'm not saying Kefla is stronger than Jiren. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that suppressed Jiren that was like barely trying against hit until like hit used his like time stop or time ability to like to imprison Jiren in a cage of time. Like Super Saiyan 2 Kefla should be stronger than hit and that suppressed Jiren that was fighting in episode 111. And then Super Saiyan 2 Kefla should scale above Infinite Zamasu, who was spreading beyond timelines and going forward, backwards, and top. So this would mean Infinite Zamasu should have like immeasurable speed, and then Kefla would scale above him. So I think Kefla, going by this scaling, I think Kefla should be complex multiversal level in AP, and then for speed, she should have immeasurable speed level, in my opinion, scaling above Infinite Zamasu. Now, let's go into who I think wins this fight. I think this is a very interesting fight, in my opinion. But now I'm going to go into, first I'm going to go into who I think is stronger, like has faster and all that. So for AP, I think they're pretty equal, in my opinion. And raw power, I think they're pretty equal in AP. And then for strength, I think Kefla physically probably hits harder than Rias, physically, in my opinion. And then for speed, I think they're both equal. And then for durability, I think they're both equal. And then skill, I would say Kefla is the more skilled combatant than Rias, I think. I think Kefla is more skilled. I think, but skill is a little bit contentious because we don't know too much about Rias. We know enough, but like I would say Kefla is probably more skilled. And then for fight versatility, I give it to Rias because I think Rias has too many hacks resistance and a lot more abilities against Kefla that she can use. And then for intelligence, I would say I think Rias is a lot smarter than Kefla. And then for stamina, I would say Rias has more stamina than Kefla. I mean, Kefla can probably fight for like a day straight or a pretty long time, but Rias has a lot more stamina. Rias has fought for a long time. She's stalemated a lot of people for a very, very long time. She's had blood like inking out of her body, and she's still been able to fight. So I think she has better stamina than Kefla. So how I see this fight going is I see like in base form, like base to base, or not base to base, but like when Kefla is in her base form, right? I see Rias getting the better of her in Kefla's base form, like manhandling her, because Rias normally takes the fight very seriously. Like Rias doesn't clown around; she normally takes the fight very seriously. So I see her beating up Kefla in her base, and then I see Kefla going Super Saiyan 1, and then I see her being able to do better in a fight and handle Rias in like raw power, and then when Rias starts to like use her true power and she uses like her full power, that's when I think Kefla is gonna get out. She's gonna be in terms of raw power, she'll be outgunned, and then that's when I think Kefla will resort to Super Saiyan 2, and then I think she'll start matching Rias in raw power, and then that's when I think the fight will get like a lot more interesting. I see Rias' versatility getting the better of Rias when they start to scrap. Because in hand-to-hand, I see like Kefla getting the better, but I think for versatility, Rias will start to get the better of Kefla because like Rias has a lot of abilities and hacks that she can use to handle Kefla and try to throw her off guard and stuff. Because like Rias can like she can like heal people. She can use her demonic power. She has resistance to certain like magic and stuff like that Kefla just doesn't. And then Kefla's not that smart, and Kefla is cocky, and I can see Rias using her intelligence to get the better of Kefla because Kefla's not that smart, and Kefla's very cocky. And then I see stamina playing a part in this because Kefla has like an hour, which is a pretty long time. And obviously in Tournament Power we can see 48 minutes is a pretty long time. But I see Rias, and this is why I said I think she has better stamina because Kefla has an hour, whereas Rias has a lot more time. And then, so what I see happening is, I see Rias using her intelligence and versatility to annoy Kefla and start to like, where Kefla starts to get angry, similar to what she did against UI Omen 2 Goku. And then I see Kefla like launching her blast that she did. Like I see Rias baiting Kefla, and then Kefla launches her like final attack that she did against like Ultra Instinct Omen 2 Goku. And then I see Rias bringing out the spear and taking out Kefla. Because I both think they're in a complex multiversal level. But I think when the Crimson Spear comes out, I see Rias dodging Kefla's blast and hitting Kefla with the spear. Because I think the spear scales above Kefla, and I think if Kefla gets hit by that spear, I think it's over. So in my opinion, I see Rias taking this fight with mid to high difficulty. But yeah, I see Rias coming out as the victor due to being able to outlast Kefla, using her intelligence, her versatility, and I see her maneuvering Kefla's blast and hitting her with that Crimson Spear, because the Crimson Spear scales above both of them in raw power, and I see like when Kefla gets hit by that spear, I see it's over. So yeah, I think Rias wins with mid to high difficulty. But you guys let me know your thoughts down below. Who do you think wins this fight? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Appreciate you guys watching the video. I need that watch time, But please like, comment, subscribe. This is your boy Hot Shoji, and we're out. Peace.